This is the Clew suspension that I have for the quilt. It consists of 8 nettles, all attached on a aluminum descending ring, and each nettle is then clipped into the underquilt with these little tabs that are attached with snaps. And so I've done the one side. Now I'll do the other side. I'm going to make the jig for my suspension for the underquilt, the Clew suspension, and so I've got here just a couple of pieces of campaign signs, yard signs from an election, and I've got a piece of brown paper just taped to the front, and this is the descending ring that I'm going to use to attach the Clew suspension to. So I just have a piece of string here, and I'm going to set my suspension ring. I'm going to attach it to the board using this little, I don't know what this is for. This was in the shed. I'll just poke that through the layers and put my ring on it right here. Now I have my pencil. It fits just to the bottom, and I'm just going to swing it out. This way I'll know that everything from the point of that descending ring is going to be the same distance. I'm also going to use some nails. These I just had in the shed. Oh, large top nails, and I'm just going to push those in to the board evenly spaced. Alright, there's a simple jig. This is what we're going to make the Clew suspension on. I bought this 1/16 inch shock cord. This is a 100-foot shank, and I will probably need maybe a little over half, maybe 2/3 of it for this project. I'm going to set the hook up here on the top of the pin that I have, and I'm going to pull out about 18 inches of free line out the end, and then I'm just going to wrap. I'm going to come around, and then I'm going to pull through, always going in the exact same direction. I'm going to go around and then under. You don't want to put tension on the shock cord during this process, because you want all of your shock cord to be identical for each nettle and all of them in the relaxed position. Alright, I have all of my nettles strung, and I just want to go through here and make sure that all of the shock cord is as identical as possible in its tension. I want it all a little relaxed and not holding very tight. That way they're all the same. Okay, here is the very top of the suspension, and I just want to line everything up and make sure that none of the lines are crossed, and that looks good. And as you can see, I've got my 2 free ends right here, and the first step in weaving the top of the Clew is I want to grab the bottom line. So as you can see, I've got a line at the top, and then I have a line underneath. for each one of those lines, I'm just going to pick it up. So I'm going to pick up the line, pick up the other line. I'm just reaching down and pinching these up. Reaching down, pinching them up, and pinching them up. I'm going to slide my pencil in there. So here's the first weave through. I'll take the free end on the one side and I'll feed it through along my pencil. And then I'll take the free end from the other side. I'll weave it through along my pencil. And then I'll just pull those so that I don't want it tight because this is shock cord, but so that there's a little bit of a bite in there. And then I'm going to skip the outer pieces and I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to pull from under and I'm going to grab all of the shock cord, put my pencil through, and then the loose end from one side gets fed through. And the loose end from the other side gets fed through. Just going to check the tension on all of these to make sure everything's pretty good to go here. I don't want any gapes. I don't want gaping shock cord. I'm going to tighten that up a little bit. My pencil point. Now for the next pair, we're going to leave the two outer ones off again. And then I'm going to pinch up from below and grab those, slide my pencil in there. It's a really loud clock, I'm sorry. And now that these are done, we'll just tie this off. I'm going to do a simple overhand knot. That'll hold it. And I'll just trim the ends here a bit. And there you have it. Derek Hansen has a very good video on how to do the Clew, and his instructions are what I followed. So I really recommend that you look at Derek's video. I'll put a link in the description bar below so that you can see exactly how he does the Clew, and he knows a whole lot more about how to do the Clew than I do. But I followed his design. His jig was a lot more elaborate than mine, but I think that it worked for my purposes, and we're going to put this on the underquilt now and see how it hangs out in the woods. So here's the suspension side that I've already done. I have the Clew made and I have it attached to my quilt with these tabs. On the other side of my quilt I also have tabs, and so I'm just going to attach the suspension right off the jig to my quilt. That way nothing gets tangled. The one thing I'm very concerned about with this hammock suspension is what happens if these get tangled or knotted together. I don't want that to happen, and I think that that could be very frustrating. So what I did was I made some little loops out of shock cord with a small attachment here, and I can slide those down, and let's see if I can do it with one hand. I made 2 for each side, and then I can tighten them. And what that does is when I pack this up, these are all oriented properly and they're not going to get twisted up. I have a second one that I can do at the midpoint. And so when I pack it up, things will look just like that. You're such a good boy. Now I have to admit, what attracted me to the Clew design, which you can see here, is that it's complicated. I mean, look at that. We've got a aluminum descending ring. We've got all of these shock cords. They're attached to the quilt with snaps that I sewed in. And it's so beautifully complex that I wanted to give it a try.